All right, welcome back. This is going to be the final card design breakdown video for the set. I still have a few cards to talk about, actually a decent chunk of cards, I guess, maybe like 10 or so. I do have 3 other videos that came out prior covering cards in the set, so if you want to check those out, you go ahead. But this is the last remaining chunk of cards I want to talk about. So let's start right away with connecting the dots, which I think is a fantastic concept and is executed really well. So we have a 2-mana enchantment in red. Whenever a creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. You can pay 2 mana, discard your hand, sacrifice connecting the dots, and put all cards exiled with connecting the dots into their owner's hands. Flavor text, how could I have missed it? The answer was right in front of me all along. Absolutely cool, amazing flavor text for this card. Artwork, absolutely fantastic. Screams red as well. I like the use of the red dots, the red connecting as well. Like, it's very, very red. And I like when they do that. It's kind of like the chalk outline was kind of similar for green. So let's dive into the flavor. Whenever a creature attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. So that represents the detective, or you, connecting the dots by seeing a crime happening, by seeing a creature attacking. So it's in your mind, so you can't use that information effectively in the real world yet, but you're getting to there. So every time a creature attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. Those are thoughts, basically. And then 2 mana, discard your hand, sacrifice connecting the dots. So once you're done connecting the dots, you can use all that information for your investigation, for prosecution, or whatever you want to use it for. Essentially, you have access to all the information because now it makes so much sense for you to use in the right circumstance. Absolutely fantastic. Amazing card design. Like, really, really incredible way to represent connecting the dots in gameplay form. Private Eye is really funny. It's a 3 mana, 3/3 homunculus detective. Other detectives you control get +1/+1. And whenever you draw your second card each turn, target detective can't be blocked this turn. Yep, it's a vase. All right, is the flavor text. Fantastic, very funny. And this is a detective that enables other detectives to do their job better. So it buffs them by being on the scene. And whenever you draw your second card each turn, target detective can't be blocked. So it helps in the investigation. And when it gains enough information, it can transmit that to another detective and help that detective do its job even better by not being able to be blocked by other creatures. So just a detective support card. Very cool card. I just find it really funny with the artwork as well. Magnetic Snuffler is incredible, as you'll see in a second here. I love this card so much. 5 mana 4/4 artifact creature construct. When Magnetic Snuffler enters the battlefield, return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Attach it to Magnetic Snuffler. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Magnetic Snuffler. Flavor text, it recovers precious jewelry, murder weapons, and discarded food tins with equal excitement. So, first of all, a Snuffler is an absolutely hilarious name for anything, and that gives it so many more points in my book. And the way it was integrated in the game as a card is absolutely fantastic. So the Magnetic Snuffler is picking up garbage around the garden or wherever it is, and when it enters the battlefield, it digs up an equipment, and since it's magnetic, boom, it gets equipped with that equipment. So that's fantastic. And then whenever you sacrifice an artifact, basically you're throwing that artifact away, the Snuffler will, pick it up and become stronger. So very awesome concept for a card. It's very humorous, and it's absolutely nailed in my opinion. Very, very cool. Vein Ripper is a 6 mana 6/5 vampire assassin with flying. With ward, sacrifice a creature. Whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Flavor text, I'm afraid your investigation has reached a dead end. So we have a flying assassin, and when you try to destroy it, or when you try to target it, it will kill one of your creatures because it's very skilled at its job. So you can't take it out without it taking out something else. And when it's assassinating things, it also drains the life out of your opponents since it's a vampire. Very, very, very cool. I find this card to be very simple, but like really well implemented, I think, as an idea. And I absolutely love the artwork. I love the shadows on the wall, and the whole Vein Ripper aesthetic is very cool as well. The triple black as well to cast it. Like this is a very black mana card. So very cool. I like this card a lot. Homicide Investigator, a 2-mana 2/2 human detective. Whenever one or more non-token creatures you control die, investigate. This ability triggers only once each turn. In her line of work, the dead are often better sources than the living. As flavor text. So we have a detective, well, literally homicide investigator. Makes sense. It would be a detective that is investigating dead creatures. So this ties directly into the effect of investigating once one or more non-token creatures you control die. It can only trigger once each turn because there's only so much work the one homicide investigator can do by itself, right? So if you have creatures dying everywhere on the battlefield, well, the detective will simply not be able to keep up and not be able to investigate all of them. So there you have it, a very smart way to tie a gameplay restriction that might not be necessary from a balance perspective, but it's a smart way to tie that into the flavor of the card, and I absolutely love it. It's really fantastic. Bite Down on Crime is a 4-mana sorcery. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may collect evidence 6. This spell costs 2 less to cast if evidence was collected. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn, and it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So, Bite Down on Crime is also a very funny card. It's literally a creature biting down on a criminal, and I find that to be absolutely fantastic. Like the flavor when it comes to those, when it comes to the naming the cards and the artwork, it's incredible. It's so well done, and the effect ties into this really well. So if you don't have evidence, the spell's going to cost you more because it's more difficult to bite somebody without evidence than it is to bite them if you're sure of yourself. So there's that. I love that kind of flavor. And then obviously the literal biting down of giving a creature +2/+0 and it dealing damage to that criminal through the bite. So really awesome, simple, but works really well. Very, very cool card. Coerced to Kill is a absolutely mesmerizing card when it comes to its artwork. I love the naming as well. It's a Dimir card. It's a 5-mana enchantment aura, enchant creature. You control enchanted creature. An enchanted creature has base power and toughness 1/1, has death touch, and is an assassin in addition to its other types. And the flavor text, people are being brainwashed into these attacks. We must find the puppet master. So literally coercing somebody to become an assassin and kill a creature. And that is really, really awesome. Combined with the artwork being like, I was staring at this art and I was like, whoa, this is incredible, truly. So yeah, a simple effect of you controlling the creature since it's brainwashed, turning it into an assassin. It's a really cool card. Unscrupulous Agent is a 2-mana 1/1 elf detective, and when it enters the battlefield, target opponent exiles a card from their hand. Flavor text, obtaining evidence through the proper network channels can take weeks of paperwork. Sometimes justice just can't wait. So it's a detective that uses force to gather evidence, essentially, or gather whatever they want to, essentially. So we have you taking from your opponent. So your opponent exiles a card from their hand. The detective essentially took the information, probably learned from it, memorized it, and threw it away for it to never be found again. So absolutely fantastic. And really, really well implemented artwork, on point as usual. Cerebral Confiscation is one of my favorite cards in the set, absolutely. 3-mana sorcery, choose one, target opponent discards 2 cards, and target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an online card from it, that player discards that card. Flavor text, never rely on secondhand description, always review the memory yourself. Quite literally here. So both options are you messing with your opponent's mind, taking away their thoughts by discarding 2 cards, or taking away a specific thought. Like really, really, really amazing way to kind of visualize what's happening here through gameplay mechanics, through the art, the naming. It's a very, very cool thing, I think, to have in Magic the Gathering. And I think Magic the Gathering, this is the strength of the game, really, is when you have cards like this. And a lot of the set is like this, honestly. I didn't really talk about it that much, or maybe I did, actually. I don't know. But yeah, the flavor of the set is just absolutely incredible. The fact that you can visualize what's happening through the scene being described and shown through gameplay elements, the naming, and the art is Incredible. Inside Source, also one of my favorite cards in the set, absolutely. 3 mana, 1/1 human citizen. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. You can pay 3 and tap this creature to have target detective you control get +2/+0 and vigilance until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Flavor text, I was never here. So let's dig into this one. I absolutely love this card. Inside Source meets the detective so you create a 2/2 detective token. So they're having a meeting, and you can pay 3 and tap the creature to pass the information that the Inside Source has over to the detective, basically making them more powerful since detectives scale off of information, and they gain vigilance because most detectives, when they become alert, well, vigilance is the perfect keyword to represent that. And that is absolutely fantastic. It can only happen at sorcery speed because the meeting can only happen at a specific time. So it can't always happen at any point. It has to be a specific opportunity to pass that information over. So everything here is picture perfect, on point. Like, it's such a wonderful way to tell a story here in like such a simple card. It's a common too. Like, a lot of these are commons. It's really incredible, and I love this card so much. Person of Interest is another really, really cool card that has to do with detectives, and it's a 4 mana 2/2 human rogue. And when Person of Interest enters the battlefield, suspect it and create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. So let's dive into the flavor text first. Maybe they're following someone else, Elvis thought to himself, despite mounting evidence to the contrary. So this is a really smart way to have, detective tokens come in red, and it's a detective chasing after a person of interest, so a suspect. It's beautiful, it's simple, and it just works so well. Like, the telling of a scene or a story here that is, the detective chasing after a suspect. But yeah, this card is just so cool and amazing. I love seeing cards like this. 10th Street Gossip, a 4 mana 4/4 with vigilance. It's an advisor of Yashino. And you can add 2 mana by tapping it. Spend this mana only to cast face down spells or to turn creatures face up. Flavor text, the law mages are trying to hush it up, but I'm telling you, the guard didn't fall off that balcony. He was pushed. First of all, the art is fantastic. It really represents the gossip really well. The idea of a gossip. And it has vigilance because it's not going to gossip to just anybody. And you can tap it so while it's gossiping, you can cast face down spells, so like rumors, or turn creatures face up by revealing the truth. It's a very, very smart way to integrate a card like this into the game, and I love it so much. All the flavor, it just lines up so well on some of these cards. It's really, really amazing to see. And that is gonna do it. Now, I know there are a lot of other cards that are really cool, but these are the ones that really stood out to me. I'm not going to go over every single one. I already spent hours and hours and hours going over all of them on stream. But yeah, there are also cards that don't work as well in terms of flavor, and I might make a video on that overall. I'm really interested in like talking about the way gameplay mechanics can potentially restrict the full use of flavor to its fullest extent, right? Like, so sometimes you have to limit the flavor because of the way you want to integrate a specific mechanic like disguise. But we'll talk about that in a different video maybe. If you want to see that, go ahead and comment down below. Yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.